we'll have more on Matchday Live. I'm off to speak to the Chelsea manager and get his thoughts for you on that. See you soon.
Welcome back to Matchday Live. Chelsea won, Aston Villa won, a second half Anwar El Ghazi goal, cancelling out Olivier Giroud's first half header. Dan, it's one of those games, isn't it? The performance was quite good. The intensity was there. Aston Villa are a really good team, you know, and we've seen that on enough occasions this season. They played very well, but I think on the balance of it, Chelsea probably just shaded it. But I suppose a point isn't the most unfair result.
Yeah, I feel like in many ways, we controlled the majority of the game. They made sure we didn't create chances with it. And as we said at half time, you know, just one bit of lapse in concentration, and you know, they're going to be back in this game, and it happened. And then they kind of shut up shop and asked us to ask them the questions, and wanted to see what we could create, and we almost nicked it at the end. I feel like we were good for the 3 points, but it's Aston Villa, you know, they're no mugs, and you know, this is football.
Completely. That's the thing, isn't it, Abby? You know, you've got teams that on paper you want to be beaten, and you want to be winning all your home games when you're a club the size and the stature of Chelsea. But Aston Villa are a very good side. They come here today. They put in a decent performance. Like Dan said, you know, I felt overall we did shade it, but it's just when things aren't quite going or falling for you, or you're getting the luck of the decisions or anything like that, it does feel like it stacks up against you a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, Villa are on a really good run of form, I guess. So it's like one of the toughest times we could have played them, but we should have won. I think, like you said, there's always an element of luck, isn't there? The ref definitely made quite a few decisions that I wasn't sure on, that kind of didn't go our way. I mean, Chilwell right at the end, that shot, I thought that was in. I was up on my feet screaming. You know, there's things like that. A couple of Pulisic shots as well that I thought went in. So yeah, we were a little bit unlucky, but I'm just happy with the team's overall performance from, like, compared to the weekend. People were definitely like working harder and trying to create more chances. The thing for me is, though, a lot of crosses are flying in. I think we need to kind of like run down the middle of the pitch and try and be a little bit more direct. I think we've got a little bit too predictable.
Jay, do you think that there's an element of that, and mainly as well, sort of the overall point of how do you think Frank will have rated the performance today?
Performance better than the result. Of all the games that we've struggled to get a result in the last 5, today was the best. I don't think you could have asked any more of the players. I think we're a little unfortunate with the goal. Jack, I think, is looking for a free kick and kicks Christensen, and I didn't know how far VAR was going to go back and perhaps look at that. And because he's out of position, what you want then, you want a bit of in-game management. You want your team to recognise we're out, we're a man down. It's an important man that's down. What can we do? It looked like N'Golo was trying to get himself back on that side. As a consequence, you've seen Aspilicueta go across and left that space up for Algazi at the far post. Now, just you want your players to see that, recognise that, and manage that. Frank can't affect that. I think Frank will be disappointed that hasn't happened, to be honest. Overall possession, we played well. You know, the one thing I will, if you want to criticise, did we really work Martinez enough? Did we really ask enough questions of him? You know, shots on target, could we do better? And the shots from distance, kind of you expect to save them. That's the one thing I would perhaps say Frank would want to do, is perhaps ask more questions of their keeper.
Jay, obviously over the last couple of months, we've seen how the improvement in terms of set pieces and our threat from that area. But we know how good Chilwell, James, Aspilicueta, whoever plays in the sort of the wider fullback areas are at delivering. It does feel like a lot of the time that's where we create a lot of chances. When you're playing with Olivier Giroud, you know that you've sort of got that. But I suppose the main change when Timo Werner comes on and plays through the middle is perhaps that adapting to a different style and a different system. Do you think that was maybe it? Because after Aston Villa got the goal, they were happy to sort of take a point, sit back, but also try and hit us on the counter. So you need something a little bit different, don't you then?
The game was quite open, actually. I mean, they didn't really make that decision until about 10 to go, say. That was when I really noticed Ollie Watkins was starting to tuck down a lot deeper, and once that started happening, you sensed that they were going to take the point, might try and catch us on the counter. When Timo comes on, of course you have to tailor your crosses accordingly. A good cross is still a good cross. You know, you still want to put the ball in the right areas. Nothing changes as far as that concerned. You're still asking your centre forwards to get on the end of it. You're still asking your wide man, whether it be Pulisic or whether it be Callum, to track that far post. That's your job. The ball's on the left. Callum, you track that far post. There's things that we could have done better, definitely, once those balls those right areas. But I think that's why Kai come on to try and link up with Callum and Pulisic and Timo. And maybe it takes a little bit longer than, say, 15 minutes.
Dan, just on the goal, Jay's already touched on it. It's clever from Grealish to try and draw the foul. He does it very well. You know, there's a reason that he draws a lot of fouls, is because he's very intelligent with the way that he uses his body, and he can kind of roll things. But like Jay said, a lot of the time, I think on social media, and I'm sure you've seen the same in the app, Abby, there's a lot of people that were saying, does that not go back to that point? But then I suppose that the main thing is not to concern yourself upon the decision. It's more to get yourself back in, like Jay said, and rectify and sort of acknowledge the situation and deal with it first, and then worry about the decision after.
Yeah, it happens fast. You know, that's Grealish. That's his game. You know, if he's not going to do it with skills and the way he plays, he's going to do it with tricks. So he managed to draw Christensen out, foul him, make it look like it was a foul on him at the same time, and then obviously we're outnumbered in a break. So, you know, Kanté tried to get back in, but you're in between the devil and the deep blue sea at that point, because you've got to work out which is the immediate danger. Aspi obviously decides to go across to the more central player, and the ball goes over his head, and all of a sudden you've got the spare man over there. So it's hard to manage in game, but I suppose this is what we have to learn from, and we have to be privy to these tricks beforehand and just try and get there. But at the time when it happens fast. You know, between that foul and the goal is probably 5 or 6 seconds. So there's not so many things that can be done other than people just trying to get back in position.
Abby, it's it's a point, it's a point against a team that are sort of in and around us. I think like we've all said, slight frustration not to have got 3 points today. But when you look at it on the larger scale of things, Aston Villa have beaten Liverpool. They've gone away to Arsenal and won. It's not the worst point in the world, is it?
No, exactly. They've beaten some of the big teams and they're on a great run at the moment. And for me, it was more just like an attitude thing. I'm glad that the players, came on today and really did put in a shift and were fighting towards the end. The only thing for me is I think once Villa did score, you could tell that our confidence was dented and that, if there was a few sort of like fumbled passes and crosses and things like that, we just need to be like kind of how we were at the start of the season. Even if we were a goal down, it was like, you know what, we can do this. We're Chelsea. We can create chances and we can get back in it. So we're getting there, I think. It's just, hopefully the start of next year will be a good one and we'll be back to it.
Jay, it's a performance that I'm sure Frank will like to build on. Obviously, we await to see what happens with Manchester City. Obviously, after their game's been called off this evening due to a coronavirus outbreak in the City camp between them and Everton. So if it does go ahead on Sunday against Man City, it's something to build on the result from today. And like you said, I think the reaction, Frank will be quite pleased with that, won't he?
Yes, I mean, there had to be a better reaction, didn't they? Let's be brutally honest. It couldn't be as bad as it was on the weekend. And yes, there's a lot of changes. And I thought the players that come in done very well, actually. I thought all around the pitch, Abby just made the point, the attitude, the intensity, the work rate, the endeavour was all there. Everything that you expect to see, but sometimes don't, was all there. We need to make sure now that we move forward in 2021 and get back on that horse, get back to winning, to keeping clean sheets. That was key. If you go back to that run that we went on, the most important part of that run was keeping clean sheets because we'll always find a way to score a goal. Keeping clean sheets was key. And that seems to have eluded us a little bit at the moment, which should concern Frank because we're up against one of, even though they're a bit gun shy at the minute, Man City, we know how potent they can be.
Completely right. And Dan, I suppose that there is that element of, the rotation was happening today. We had a 6 changes or whatever it was from Saturday. You've now got, hopefully, at some point in the not too distant future, Frank will be able to welcome back in some players that have been a little bit injury or carrying something. Reece James, we know, was a doubt for the Arsenal game, but carried on. Hakim Ziyech, we don't know how far away he is, but hopefully we can welcome him in soon. So there is that element to remember, isn't there? That the problems and the things that perhaps are eluding us at the moment. We have those kind of answers within the squad. We just need the time to be able to welcome those back in. Yeah,
Ziyech will be a big plus for us when he's back. Just adds just a slightly different dimension and just a complete, whatever the opposite of predictability is. That's what Ziyech is. You don't know what he's going to do with that ball, but he's going to do something and he's going to do something useful. So we will welcome him back, obviously, and he'll strengthen the team. And then what I think happens is, I think it is as simple as one player coming back and just having a good game can lift the rest of the players up. And all of a sudden we start to get our momentum back and we start to get the rub of the green again. But look, at the same time, let's have it right. 1-1 against a very informed Aston Villa isn't the worst result in the world. And yeah, we still deserve to win, but we want to start winning the games that we deserve to win.
Completely right. And Abby, the positive as well is Christian Pulisic obviously getting more minutes under his belt and looking sharper and sharper as the game went on. He's a player that's going to be huge for us over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he was great today. Obviously had a couple of chances, unlucky not to score. He was really getting involved in the play. So I thought he was brilliant today. That's the thing I do genuinely think all players actually on the pitch did work hard and until the end. So yeah, you can't knock them for that.
Jay, with obviously Manchester City at the weekend and I suppose the injuries and the little concerns, the little knocks that we've seen out for James, for Chilwell, Pulisic obviously got to manage his minutes and Callum coming into the side. There's that kind of that squad area that we're talking about with Dan a second ago is starting to come back into play. And again, we can't take it for granted. We can't take it lightly. The fact that COVID is still a real issue and that there are times that we're going to have to go through. So I suppose that the fact that Rudiger and Christensen come in today, both have added minutes and got more minutes under their belt, and that sharpness that they'll be working on. The same with Pulisic, the same with Hudson-Odoi. That does add an element, that we've got that positive over other squads that perhaps don't. Manchester City obviously do, but running into the run of games in the new year, that's a positive.
Yeah, and we've got Morecambe coming up in the Cup, of course. That might well be our next game, even though they're having their own problems with COVID. So it might be another 2 weeks until we see Chelsea play. Yeah, in which case, I don't think would be the worst thing, if I'm honest. Going back to the point you're making about having minutes on the pitch, yes, the lads that are on the fringe and haven't played that many games this season, but they'll be looking certainly for the FA Cup game to get those fringe players playing. But if the game is called off against City at the weekend, and let's assume for the sake of this conversation it is, I don't think that's the worst case scenario for us at all, to be honest with you. If it is played, then there will be a chance that they will be weaker because of the players that they will have missing from what I've heard who have contracted the disease. So whatever happens, mate, it's in the lap of the gods, and Frank will be ready for it no matter what.
Completely, mate. Well, let's have a little look at what's coming up on the fifth stand for us then. You can catch all the post-match reaction from today and see the highlights of the match a little bit later on the fifth stand. Don't forget to check out the Best of 2020 series, including some memorable moments, best goals, skills, and of course some bloopers. There'll be a new episode every single day this week. And then, fingers crossed, we're hoping to have a massive game at Stamford Bridge. We welcome Pep Guardiola's Manchester City in the Premier League. If it happens, make sure you join us from 3:20 ahead of kicking off the new year with a little bit of a firework, we hope anyway. Finally, from all of us here at Chelsea, we want to express our gratitude to the emergency services, both in the UK and abroad, for what has been the most challenging of years. Let's hope at some point in the not too distant future, we'll all be back inside Stamford Bridge together. Please remember to check in on your friends, your family, talk, stay safe, and have a very happy new year.